To the Dr. Harris channel. I already left, we talked about the last time was about forgiveness. I already left that. Now I seem to have to go back. I was on a speaking engagement and I met someone else after and we were talking and the conversation came up about forgiveness. And some people joined in and I was told that forgiveness is fecal matter. That it doesn't really have a place. It's a lofty idea, lofty concept in theory, but it has no application in real life. Hello, hi. What? Okay, this is a wonderful supported space, and subjective truth is honorable because it's subjective truth with room for growth and development for those who are choosing that for themselves. Forgiveness is a choice, and being a passionate person regarding whole health and whole healing. I am passionate about whole healing. So it was interesting to hear the thought process of the individual and some other people who chimed in that were not as strongly opposed to forgiveness being an option on the table for living life. I heard that forgiveness also was incomplete in that it starts off nice, kind of sort of like a goodwill gesture that fades and is feeble and becomes decrepit because of its inability to move past the incident that has happened. Forgiveness needs support with clarity, repetition for the healing process to go. I understand forgiveness to be a big deal, so I even took upon myself to write this short version, as it says, on how to work the healing power of forgiveness. So I realized that this is not common practice, it's not common speak, and so I believe that what I will do is share, because this is what we're supposed to do. Give information so that we can make bettering decisions. Like remember the consumer reports when people went ahead and purchased things and they would let you know their take on it, their experience on it, so you can know the things that you need to know, pros, cons, and the things in between, cost, effectiveness, All right. I think of it something like that. When you've lived enough, done enough, seen enough, experienced quite a bit, seen and observed others, because sometimes a lesson learned does not have to be what you experience, but it can be from a hearing. A word heard can actually be a lesson learned. So in that thinking and that type of considering, let us begin. Understood to hear from this standpoint. Understanding forgiveness, what it is and what it is not. Forgiveness is quite often very much misunderstood, and I think I've gotten to that, so we're going to skip that portion. As you see, it's in the book. I'm going to support and I'm going to move through so we can get through this together, because there are some fundamental things that we need to understand. Yes, subjective truth is supported because it's subjective and it's subject to change, and as we grow and develop, or as we grow and cease to want to grow anymore and thereby stay stagnant, these are choices, and forgiveness is also a choice. Forgiveness gets jeered at and sneered at as it is thought to be about forgetting what was done and pretending it didn't hurt. The truth is, forgiveness is none of those things. It's not about weakness. It's not about relinquishing justice or dignity or power. It's not about that. Forgiveness at its core is a conscious, intentional decision to let go of anger, rage, bitterness, resentment, and the lusting for revenge that weigh down the heart. We will redefine forgiveness and we'll strip away the myths and uncovering its transformative power. That's my purpose for doing this video with us today. So forgiveness actually is a path to freedom. I already said it's a choice. And last time I told you that it's giving main character energy, because it is a flex of your power, your dominion, and your authority that you are calling into action through choosing. And you're choosing that repetitively, because repetition is a strategy to support a habit. Now, whether that habit is going to be supporting your healing or whether that habit is going to be supporting your degradation and decrepitude, that's going to be a choice that we use with the free will that we have to illustrate and experience. Okay. Forgiveness is not about condoning harm. It's not about saying what you did was okay. It's not about absolving the wrongdoer of accountability. That's not forgiveness. Instead, forgiveness, again, I've said it and I'm going to say it again. It is a decision. Forgiveness is a courageous, deliberate choice to release the burden of negative emotions that keep us trapped in the past. So if you're going to be stuck in that space of being trapped in the past, you're not going to be able to access now without all of the burdens of limits that are then set upon us by our own choosing, because we dare not, lest we forget. We dare not forget. Thereby, we dare not forgive, because then we're going to walk ourselves back into what we got. Because if you don't, right? If you don't remember the things of the past, you will be doomed to repeat it in the future, right? That makes sense, right? Logically. Great. Wonderful. Let's continue, shall we? Please let us do. It is an act of self-care that causes us to be accountable to our overall well-being and being available to live in the present. Yes, it can be scary, but what would we like to do? Be jailers of ourselves? Careful. When we forgive, we stop allowing the actions of others to control us in the now. It's not simple, but it is a decision with the free will that we have to continue to re-up and go again and again, to continue to make that choice, because we're worth that. I'd rather live with the support of being in a affluent space of allowing myself to make choices while I heal, thereby support boundaries, than to allow myself to shrink and be supportive of limits that support I can't even speak it, right? Because I find it not great for me or anybody to live in an impoverished state. It doesn't feel right coming out my mouth, but I've been there before. We'll get to that in another video. Let's talk about this right here. Forgiveness says, I will not allow pain to define me. Forgiveness says, I will not allow pain to define me. I will not let it take one more moment of my life, my peace, or my joy. That's what forgiveness says. That's what it says. So in the space of that, I'm going to live unabashedly, on purpose. I'm going to be bold. Somebody essayed me. I'm not going to not wear a short dress because I like this short dress and I like the way it shows off my wonderfully shaped legs. And I have the ability to do that, and I shall, and did, and will again. I will not wear muted out colors, because not only do I deserve to be seen, I like this color, how it looks on me. Oh, yes. Yes, let's go. The myths of forgiveness. Forgiveness means forgetting. Many believe that forgiveness requires forgetting the harm done, as if it never happened or never to be spoken of again. That's a lie. Wiping the slate clean as to move forward, leaving no trace of what occurred. This is an erroneous perception. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past nor forgetting the harm done. It is about changing our relationship to the past harm. See, you can forgive while still remembering the lesson the incident brought us, protecting the boundaries we now have for healthy engagement while honoring our journey. The forgetting piece of what forgiveness entails is leaving the hot, steamy, lusty lure to get back at the person or persons, leaving the desire to cut off access to that part of us that we fault for getting us into the situation in the first place, for leaving the resentment. And the forgetting portion of forgiveness says we are going to leave the resentment and the bitterness out of how we move forward in our journey, leaving out the need to rekindle the anger and the anguish as if the incident happened a minute and a half ago. That is what the forgetting piece of forgiveness is asking us, is giving us access to. Becoming free from being burdened to carry the past into the today as if that happened 1 minute and a half ago. Okay. Leaving out those portions is forgetting of that. Leaving out those portions is what the forgetting is asking. When you talk about forgetting, this is what forgetting forgiveness asks. To be willing to start walking away and to continue to distance ourselves from that until those aspects are no longer a law for us. Forgiveness equals reconciliation. What? I'm gonna read it. Let me read this. Forgiveness does not always lead to reconciliation, nor is it supposed to. And that's not because you don't forget, honey. That's because healthy boundary says, and this chapter has not been concluded. Okay, let me read it down. Okay, that's what it says. Forgiveness does not always lead to reconciliation. In some cases, maintaining distance is necessary for safety and well-being. Reconciliation requires confidence and mutual effort, whereas forgiveness is an individual act. Reconciliation means, how are we going to do this? Forgiveness is saying, I'm moving on. You're there, I'm here, and I'm not going to stay there. Forgiveness is something that you do for yourself. Remember, I told you before, it's main character energy. It's a flex. Yours. A flex of your power, your dominion, and your authority. I said that earlier. Whether or not the person is willing or able to change is none of your concern, because forgiveness is something that you do for yourself. It's an individual, private, intimate act. Forgiveness means excusing or minimizing. That's another myth, right? No, it doesn't. Forgiveness doesn't mean you excuse or minimize what happens. Never did, never will. It's not supposed to. Because then how are you supposed to learn? How are you supposed to learn the lesson? Because there's a lesson in everything. Okay, so it doesn't mean you're letting someone off the proverbial hook. Forgiveness means you refuse to let the offender's actions continue to harm you deeper and repetitively. So every single day you're being harmed. The thing happened already, and every day, no, you're saying, oh, no. You choose healing over bitterness and strength over victimhood. That is what forgiving and forgetting means. You forget to do harm to yourself. It's an assertion of your own power. Forgiveness is weakness, right? It was back to some of the things that were said about forgiveness being fecal matter. And it takes immense courage to forgive. Now, that might need to be a whole video by itself, but let's continue. To confront pain and to let go of resentment, to choose peace, is one of the bravest things a person can do. And it's something that you do personally, intimately. That's a lot of strength and courage. It's definitely not for the weak. Absolutely never has been, nor will it ever be. Think about that. Gandhi, Jesus, Martin Luther King. Think about that. Okay, let's move. Deciding to forgive is an active engagement that demands persistence while moving through the emotions, not after, while. It's in the present of now. And it demands this persistence and moving through the emotions and mental outlooks that come up. Forgiveness is not passive, honey. There's many things. It is not passive. It is powerful, life-affirming act of strength. Life-affirming act of your dominion, your authority over you, and how you choose to move through this living experience called your life. You're worth that level of engagement. You're worth that level of investment. Forgiveness is an assertion of your power and authority to live your life, acknowledging the hurt without being stuck in time and imprisoned by the trap. Forgiveness is an assertion of your power. Clock it. Thank you for letting me talk with you. Thank you for allowing me go through portion of chapter 1 of this book that I wrote, the short version. Again, you can access this book through Amazon. You can go to the TikTok, if you're on that platform, dr.clh. It's there in the link tree. And this link tree, you can go directly to the link tree. What else is there? On IG, it's there on the link for that as well. So you have ways of accessing this book if you choose it. There you go. But I will see you guys next time. Stay well and be encouraged. Peace.